Good morning, y'all. I am back again for another video this morning. So, I would like to first start out by saying good morning, and I hope that the rest of your day is very pleasant. And if you're having any troubles today, just calm down and you'll be less stressed out. So, this video is going to be about something that the narcissist or psychopath struggles with, and at the same time, you struggle with something too, as being someone that has empathy. So, this is what the narcissist struggles with: consistency. And when I mean consistency, I don't mean like when we look at consistency, okay, it's doing something in a routine and being able to be consistent. However, the narcissists, they are consistent as far as their pattern. So, say for example, if a narcissist once a month beats you up, okay, this narcissist may do that for the next 10 years. So, yes, there is a pattern, but that's not the type of consistency I'm talking about. The narcissist is going to be unable to stop beating you up once a month. And I'm just throwing this out as an example. And this could be the woman beating on the man or the man beating on the woman. We have males that are abuse victims also. They fall in a lower category statistically. However, men still get abused by women. And I think it's increasing statistically. The numbers are higher as far as men being abused by women. So, in turn, the narcissist is going to struggle with being able to be consistent in doing the right thing. So, that's maybe how I should word it. Because remember, narcissists are consistently doing jacked up stuff and messed up stuff. But where they're not going to be able to be consistent is breaking that cycle and stopping it. And you got a few cases where you see these YouTubers that are really in therapy, but you got to remember those narcissists that get to that point, or narcissistic men and women, they have struggled with abusing people for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 20 years at a minimum. Okay. So you got to look at how long they struggle with it. And a lot of those narcissists are getting therapy because they've gotten a big case, a fraud case, an abuse case. A judge is telling them that they're going to give them life if they don't do this therapy and probation. So you got to really look at the motives behind it. However, it's good that people improve. I mean, if somebody lives that way for 30, 40, 50 years or less or more, and they decide to improve and this therapy works, then fine, so be it. But I don't think that necessarily stops them from being a narcissist. I think it just gets some of their behavior under control. And remember, when they do this therapy, they got to stay in therapy for the rest of their life. It's not like me and you, where literally, and I've done this years ago, I saw a therapist on one occasion. Let me see, I probably had like 4 or 5 visits during that particular year, and I was done. And I ain't went back since. I'm talking about formal therapy. Like empaths, you don't need to sit in therapy for the next 10 years. You have a few sessions, and then if you do continue the therapy, you're on to the next subject. You're not sitting in that therapy for the same problem. It don't take you that long to fix the stuff. So, and I'm going to start a sad management playlist. And I just uploaded another video, the video that I uploaded right before this one about depression and empaths and narcissists. I'm going to start a sad management playlist, and go to that video to find out what sad management is. I'm not going to tell you what it is here. Just go to that video, the video that I uploaded right before this one. And the reason I'm going to do a playlist like that is because some of the things that I'm dealing with and going through, I think it will help me keep on track and may help you. So, the problem with narcissists, okay, you don't want nobody dead, hurt, injured, or imprisoned. Okay, so consider this three strikes you out thing. And what I mean by that is, okay, say someone's acting kind of schizophrenic. And I mean literally, when I say they acting schizophrenic, when you look up the symptoms of schizophrenic disorder, and I'll read some of what I studied on, and it gives you some of the behaviors that go along with it. And you have relatives that are acting kind of irrational, even if they don't have it. This is how they're acting at this point, right? Because a lot of times things go undiagnosed. So, what a lot of schizophrenic people do is they leave their homes. These are not homeless people, these are people that have somewhere to stay and they have a family. Even if it's an adopted family, some of them have foster families if they're under 18, and they voluntarily leave their homes to literally sleep outside. And a lot of them will be on drugs, and they will find other groups of people to sleep outside with them. So, what happens is, because you and I are not schizophrenic, we actually understand realistically the danger of literally sleeping outside. Without a tent, you're outside. Even with the tent, that's still dangerous. A tent is not like a locked home door or a locked car door or SUV door or mobile home or something like that. So it's unsecured housing, basically. It's not safe, or it's not the safest place to be. So in turn, they make a choice to do this. So, okay, a lot of people, they just say, forget them, write them off. I don't care if they dead or alive. However, that ain't the empath spirit. That ain't how we work usually, at least not right away. Okay. For one, we don't want nobody dead. Okay. So we don't think like that right away. So you make attempts to go get the person, you and the family and some friends, maybe some members of your religion go together, and you try to get this person, whether they be male or female, to come home. So you attempt to help get them back in a safe environment. So y'all attempt to get them in a safe environment. Okay, it doesn't work. So, the first time you go out, okay, it goes well. The person may ask, well, why are you coming to get me? Why do you care? And stuff like that. Then a few days later, you go again and they're cussing you out, saying, why the F are you here? So this is the part where the narcissist is not going to be able to be consistent. At first, they were acting all right, not cussing, but the next time you go, now they cussing. So they just not going to be able to be consistently nice, is what I'm trying to say. I hope this makes sense. So that's when empathetic people make decisions for themselves on how much of that they can tolerate. Because really, you causing your own abuse. You going after the person. Okay, you don't want nobody dead or alive. You don't want somebody dead. You want them alive. Excuse me. I meant to say you want them alive. However, this person literally doesn't care. And the reason you have so much compassion is you kind of feel like a person is not in their right frame of mind, because you're able to go to the internet and see a bunch of symptoms that say schizophrenic disorder, and this is what some of the behaviors of the psychopath or narcissist is. But this is the problem with this. When you look at some of these symptoms, because this came to my mind later, okay, and I'll read some of the symptoms and then tell you what my thoughts were. And there's another situation, okay? This is another thing. Narcissists have a time window when they do hoovers or they start contacting you. So I received a text message from another narcissistic person. I'm going to just call this person narcissistic. What that means is this person may not be a full blown narcissist, but they got all the behaviors of a narcissist, but maybe they have a small level of empathy. Enough empathy that has me still alive right now. So this narcissist has enough empathy to not take my life, okay? This is a full grown adult as far as this one that I'm talking about, kind of up in age. And when someone's narcissistic, especially if it's someone you used to date or was intimate with or very close to, it's just like you dealing with a narcissist, y'all. It's just not gonna work. Empaths and narcissists, it's best that they not be together. It just is. It just won't be happy unions. Some of them or the unions may last a long time, but it's definitely not no happy ever after. I don't care if they stay together 30 years and you end up 90 years old. Y'all still got to break up before you die. Those type of relationships just do not last. They just don't. They're not healthy, and the empath will eventually get tired of that narcissist or psychopath or sociopath and just leave that situation. So at the end of the day, narcissists have time zones. So I looked at this, I'm like, I get this text or whatever. And 6 months normally or more. If you were a excellent source of supply, nice to the narcissist, you really cared about the narcissist, you didn't mind having a future with the narcissist, and they see value in your good character, and that's what that particular narcissistic person or narcissist is attracted to, they won't stay gone a bunch of years. Okay, so this narcissist may check your temperature and come back to see if you want to put up with some more mess, maybe about 6 months. Especially if you kind of help with the discard. So say, for example, 6 months ago, they text you that they left your stuff at the door and they was acting all ignorant and just acting like narcissists act, unstable creatures, right? And you just ignore them. You don't call them, you don't respond. That bothers narcissists, especially those type. And a lot of times they can't wait too long to check back in. They like, what's going on with him or her? So, and it's almost like they writing it down, like call her or him in 6 months. Sometimes that's what it'll feel like. But remember, this is what you got to think about. Because remember, empaths, we're forgiving. We give chances. We actually saw some value in the food. So you got to remind yourself of this. And this is why people just will go full blown no contact. The narcissist has the inability to be nice consistently. They always got to pop off. And I'm talking about cussing, acting like a degenerate, ignorant fool. Some of them not always hitting you. They always got to bring that misery to the table. And you got to remember this. And this is something I had to think about when I read this text. They contacting you because they still miserable. And a lot of times, a lot of people not calling them and dealing with them. If the narcissist wasn't really having visitors and was in his or her worst miserable place in life, they still are. So they're contacting you to try to maybe find a few days of happiness. They just testing your temperature to see what you got going on. Some of them just nosy. They want to know if you got you a wife or husband or a man or woman. They just, want to be in your business too. So I didn't reply. I have a new phone now, so I don't have the same phone I had. And another thing, safety concerns. This is why a lot of people are dead now, because sometimes that filing a restraining order, you know how many people file a restraining order, then they're killed? Okay. And sometimes also, okay, if this narcissistic person, whether they be male or female, if they kind of live close by, they are stalking you. They are driving by sometimes. They're just going to do that, even if they take a break from doing it. So I'm not saying you got to be in contact with people, but just be nice and cool. Okay. If you know a narcissistic person is armed and they kind of crazy a little bit, they be having mood swings, just be nice. If they text you and you see it, don't text them and cuss them out. MF, why you contacting me? Don't text my phone, ninja. Or woman, or and when I say ninja, I mean in this case like a dude, or chick or whatever, just whatever. Don't be combative with these people. Just ignore it. Okay? And it's up to you if you want to respond to people, but I'm going to encourage you to not allow narcissistic people to end things the way they end things. Like with this particular narcissistic person, there was a pattern of that particular person just going into a mood swing and just getting mad at you over pretty much nothing. I mean, something as simple as they just in a bad mood. They just miserable. They just unhappy. They don't know how to get out of that miserable state. They're so deep into their misery and depression that they caused for themselves due to their long-term pattern of behaviors that backfired on them, basically. And they're miserable. A lot of them, they lost numerous wives and husbands. And narcissists may say they glad their husbands and wives are gone. However, one thing I could say about narcissists is they're way more relying on that wife or husband than you ever could be. See, empaths move on and you're like, okay, well, I'm not married. Phew, that was stressful. Glad I'm out of that situation. However, you got to remember the narcissist kind of needs the supply. We don't. If we have the supply, it's a blessing. Remember, empaths have supply too. I talk about this all the time. However, our motives are different. If you're an empath and somebody gave you some money, you just got some supply. You just are grateful for them and you're willing to give them money back one day. Okay? So you just treat people better when they give you supply. That's the only difference. Narcissists a lot of times treat people bad. So in order for you to come to the conclusion of how to maybe consider full no contact, even with some relatives, just remember this. They not gonna ever consistently be nice. That's the bottom line. I struggled maybe with kind of explaining that when I first got into this video. However, at the end of the day, they're always going to be consistent with an up and down. One day they nice, one day they mean. They're always going to have that pattern, but they'll never be consistently nice full time for the rest of the time you deal with them. So you want to get off their wheel, get off the ride, get off the roller coaster. And the only way to do that is to recognize that and go no contact. So with relatives and things like that that may be acting kind of schizophrenic, I'm gonna read what I saw. That way, hold on one second. Let me go find this because this will help you a lot. I did a screenshot of it. So, okay. Schizophrenia symptoms, okay? Schizophrenia, is characterized by thoughts or experiences that seem out of touch with reality, disorganized speech or behavior, and decreased participation in daily activities. Difficulty with concentration and memory may also be present. Okay, I'm going to give an example. When it says decreased participation in daily activities, basic things, y'all: brushing their teeth, going to the doctor, bathing, showering, changing clothes. A schizophrenic person that has schizophrenia symptoms can wear the same outfit, never bathe or shower for weeks at a time, even though they actually have access to a shower or a bath or a restroom to clean themselves up. So that would be an example. So people may experience behavioral, social isolation, disorganized behavior, aggression, agitation, compulsive behavior, excitability, hostility, repetitive movements, self-harm, or lack of restraint. Okay, now this is the thought that crossed my mind. People may experience this. See, medically, we call this schizophrenia. Everything that I just named that people may experience, biblically, they call those people evil and wicked. Okay, aggression. What does the Bible say? Stay away from the angry man or woman. Aggression, cussing you, fighting you, hitting you, manipulating you. Compulsive behavior. Here's another one: robbing you, stealing from you. I'm giving examples. Hostility is another form of aggression. They're hostile. Self-harm. If anyone will harm themselves, they'll harm you. They lack self-restraint. They can't stop themselves from shooting at you, cutting you, stabbing you. So people may experience this and they call it schizophrenia. So what happens is you feeling sorry for the behavior because you done looked this up and you just said, oh, that sounds like my relative. That sounds like my husband or wife. However, instead of looking at it as schizophrenia, you got to look at it from a different way. Look at it in a different way is what I meant to say. I apologize. And the way you should be looking at it is, these same symptoms biblically mean somebody is wicked as hell. This is an actual evil person. Okay, the world may call them, and I'm not saying every person with schizophrenia has out of control symptoms like this, but usually they do. This is part of the disorder. And a lot of times they're not bipolar. See, people being bipolar, go to my video I just uploaded where I strongly advocated for people and defended people that have been diagnosed with that, because everybody just got thrown under the bipolar radar. Even though, like I said in that video, I ain't had no problem with nobody that's bipolar. Most of them bipolar, in my opinion, because of the narcissists and psychopaths that's been around them. Every bipolar person I've ever known that was diagnosed with it, most of the time they could get rid of those symptoms, usually through lifestyle. And you could always go back to the beginning, early in life, when they had a psychopath around them and got into a relationship with a psychopath. Some of them had parents that had psychopathy. Their parents were sociopaths. And that's how a lot of this stuff is triggered. I don't believe all bipolar is coming from a chemical imbalance and all of that. However, what happened was for a lot of people, they were actually schizophrenic or had schizophrenia symptoms, but they were told they're bipolar when really they're this. If this makes sense, they're actually having schizophrenia symptoms. Because this doesn't, what I just named on this line doesn't mention mood swings. It just mentions behavior. People may experience these things, and let me read them again. Behavioral, social isolation, disorganized behavior, aggression, agitation, compulsive behavior, excitability, hostility, repetitive movement, self-harm, or lack of restraint. These are the symptoms. But see, this don't say they having mood swings with it. This is who they are, and this is what they may experience. And they will consider this schizophrenia, and they will consistently have these symptoms, is what I mean to say. So I apologize for that. They don't consider anything. They will consistently have these symptoms, and a lot of them will be falsely diagnosed as being bipolar. Especially for certain ethnic groups. And I'm just going to say it. For people of color, we just all bipolar. I mean, you're just thrown under that window. Go out and beat your neighbors behind. You bipolar. Forget the fact that the neighbor then called you a bunch of racist names and threw one of their yard tools at you and almost took your head off. Okay? But if you defend yourself and the neighbor comes over fighting you and hitting you and acting crazy, if I trip out on the neighbor, I got to be bipolar. See, all of that stuff, that's like a stigma, a stereotype, and it's actually discriminatory because it's misdiagnosing people. And I remember when I went to therapy, because I have, one of my things I have is mild anxiety too. And I remember when I went to therapy, the sister told me, make sure I tell the truth about my symptoms, because she said, what I don't want to do is misdiagnose you. And she said that happens to a lot of people. They're misdiagnosed because they lie about something. You know, like I may be scared to say, I thought about killing somebody last week that abused me. So instead, I lie and say, I'm actually suicidal and I've never been suicidal. So telling that lie can make your test scores look as if you're bipolar because you're having depression episodes, or if you're really on top of your game and you got that new job and you're in your business frame of mind, making it look like you're in a mania, right? So that's why it's good to tell the truth and be honest about your test scores. So yeah, so when I read these symptoms like hostility, agitation, aggression, all of that biblically or from a more spiritual standpoint just means they're evil. But see, a lot of people get themselves hurt and killed because they're like, no, this is my relative or friend or neighbor that has schizophrenia, so I need to keep helping them. No, they're just evil. And so this thought came to my mind later, that these symptoms also, you can interpret this to mean that someone's wicked, someone's evil. If someone's consistently being hostile with you and aggressive with you, and they're acting agitated, they hate you, they don't like you. So you need to stop going around them. And then you're going to watch them with the new supply not showing these behaviors, but you got to remember how long it took for this so-called person with schizophrenia symptoms. Look how long it took them to start acting up with you. It could have took them 17, 20 years. And they're acting up with you now because You're not tolerating the behavior. You're saying something about it and you're saying this is unacceptable, even without using the word no. Because I said in another video, I don't recommend you ever using the word no. If someone asks you to do something, I'm busy on that day. No should not be the beginning of any sentence. That's why a lot of people are in grave sites too, because that no triggered somebody that was not rational. And it talks about that irrational behavior. Let me see what else it says. Okay, another thing, people that have schizophrenia, they may have hallucinations, paranoia, hearing voices, depression, fear. Persecatory. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Let me get this word right. Wait a minute. Okay, it's like persecution, but it's not persecution. Persecatory. So, see, this is like a twisted word. Wait a minute. I need to stop. This is so embarrassing. Okay, let me get this right. Persecution. Okay, it's oh my God, it's always a word that just tongue ties you, y'all. Not persecution, but it basically persecatory delusions. Okay, I did my best. Basically, it's an offset of persecution. Basically, it's the same meaning, but it's persecatory delusions. See, some words you got to break it down in the syllables. Persecatory delusions. Okay, I got it there. I love the English language, y'all. I love being reminded of new words. This is not a word I use on a regular. I mean, when I do use the word, I use persecution, right? So, or is someone being persecuted right now? That is just normally the way I would use it. I don't normally use it. Okay, so it says they also may have religious delusions. Okay, for speech, they may have circumstantial speech, incoherent speech, rapid and frenzied speaking, or they may actually have a speech disorder. They also commonly have fatigue, impaired motor coordination, lack of emotional response, or memory loss. One example of the memory loss with this particular person that has some of these symptoms, this person thought that they had just left a certain location 2 or 3 days ago. However, they've been gone from this particular location at least 2 weeks. Okay, so to actually confuse 2 or 3 days with 2 weeks is, to me, a form of the memory loss and just a disturbed mind, an unfocused mind, a scattered brain, along with the fact on and off drug use, kind of keeps people in a fog too, especially someone that has schizophrenia. So the whole point, okay, so I'm going to sum this up. This is where I'm getting us to in this video. What are we going to do about it? What you going to do about it? Okay, so in these cases, I always recommend eventually, when it's an abuser, you gotta eventually go full-blown no contact. Even if you take the steps, okay, well, the abuser can't come in the house. Whether they emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, psychologically abusing you, whatever way they're abusing you, sexually abusing you, whatever way that they're abusing you, you start cutting contact in stages. Okay, they can't come in the house. Well, they still gonna be abusing you and calling you all kind of names on the phone. They're still going to be stalking you and seeing you at the gas station or out at the grocery store on purpose, saying crazy stuff to you, staring at you, whatever intimidating tactics that they're using. So the point of this entire video, when I really think about it, is this: making sure that you come to the conclusion that they're never going to be consistently nice, for one. Two, deciding if you can tolerate that forever, that someone is going to be never consistently kind to you. They're just never going to be able to do it. The answer to number two is, can you tolerate that? I can't tolerate that. That's why I always end up in a no contact with any abuser. I don't care how long I've known them, because that's the part I can't take. And then three, when you see that you're being kind to the person, see, a lot of times being kind to a narcissist or psychopath or sociopath means that now they can bully you and talk to you crazy and just do what they want to do. That's a lot of times what it means for them. That's not what it means for empathic people. I mean, for us, if you're kind, it means be kind back, right? However, that's just not how it works for other people, if that makes sense. So you just got to make a decision as to what you want to deal with. And the best decision that I'm going to suggest is just basically to decide not to deal with it. So, of course, this video, like I said, is going to be under sad management. I've been on this bike almost 37 minutes, y'all. And so this is going to be part of sad management. Create a journal. Write the person's name down. Create a folder. Write the dates down, the last 3 incidents that happened, and look at the pattern. Well, this day I went to go help. They didn't cuss me out, but I still wasn't welcome. The next time I went to go help, I was cursed at. And they're also going to be threatening people that's around you too. So in this case, this other particular relative came out to assist, and that relative got threatened too. So they just don't care about what you're doing or whoever is around you helping. It's just attack time. And one of the things I would suggest, stop talking to them first. If you see them out and they want to say hi, okay, hello. Stop talking to people first that's cussing you out. So I'm getting ready to work on that myself. Or cussing at you. When I say cussing you out, that don't always mean they calling you a horrible name. Just walking up and catching them off guard. You know, you're out there checking to make sure they're not dead, right? And then they look at you and say, why the fuck you following me? Why the fuck won't you leave me alone? Leave them alone. Just document, you know, the last time you saw them for safety reasons, and just leave them alone. And then when you do that, you're also going to be doing your sad management, because you won't be depressed and sad. Or you'll prevent depression and sadness, because we don't even want to claim stuff like that. But a lot of people go into deep depressions. And I shouldn't have mentioned that word depressed. Just, you won't be sad. However, I do need to acknowledge that for people that are abused for very long periods of time, they do eventually, some of them go into very deep depressions. So if you're somebody that suffers with depression, you want to be careful with becoming deeply depressed and you can't function, for those of you that go through that. So we want to prevent that, because that's all preventable. So I'm learning as I go through this too. And what I'm learning is just be quiet, you know, let people be. Everybody don't care about living a long life or a safe life or a life where they're not incarcerated. Please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. And I love y'all so, so much. And share this video, comment, like, share, and subscribe. I've been on this bike 40 minutes, y'all. I love y'all.